Hello everybody, welcome to our channel. It's Sunday evening, I hope you've had a good weekend and thank you for joining me. In today's video I'm going to explain exactly why I decided to come to France. From an early age I've always been into goal planning, and in my early 30s I wrote my goals of what I'm going to achieve over 5 years, one of which was to get married, one was to buy a certain type of house, have a certain car, and also go on a nice holiday. At 35 I achieved all those, but then unfortunately everything fell apart because I didn't rewrite my goals. Marriage fell apart within 2 years, and I found that my business wasn't actually moving forward. And it suddenly dawned on me the reason it wasn't moving forward was because I hadn't done a new goal plan. And basically my long-term goal was to retire to France at 55. But after the marriage fell apart, followed by a free car write-off, I decided no matter how much money you're earning, you never know when your number's up. You know, I could be working really hard for the next 30 years, planning this long-term retirement goal, and never get there because some other idiots hit me up the backside. So that was the reason I rewrote the goals to get to France and live in France earlier. Did I have any French before coming out? Very little. Bless him. My French teacher at school was a German Indian called Mr. Rajibali. We thought we were all doing really well at school, but then when we went on a holiday to the Loire Valley, I overheard him talking to some of the locals and I didn't have a clue what he was saying. In hindsight, it's probably good that now I'm in Brittany, I'm learning the local accent. You know, just think of the accents in the UK. You know, from London just to Birmingham, there's a huge difference in accent. And throughout the country, the UK, there's loads of accents, and I imagine the same is the same as in France. So I'm picking up the language and the dialect of the Bretons. But it was really scary when I first came out. I always remember this. I was on the ferry. I was 39. And I looked around the ferry and everybody was in their 70s. And it suddenly dawned on me, have I made a big mistake? But as soon as I arrived, settled down into the new house, and it went on from there. And I just love living in France now. Obviously I've got a family now, got a couple of children, got a lovely partner, and life is just great. When I first came to France, when was it now? 2005, in search of properties. I've been searching on the internet for 6 months, and as soon as I sold my UK house, I booked my ferry and started the search for the properties. I looked at 6 properties in 5 different regions of France, starting off at Normandy, Brittany, going down as far as Bergerac. The key search thing for me was to find a property with a lake, because I love fishing, and my plan, because I've watched No Going Back, I don't know if anyone's seen that, where there's a place called Crystal Waters. A family from the UK bought a place in Brittany. It was a 6-acre lake, and they turned it into a carp fishery, and I thought, wow, what a life, and I wanted to try that. So out of the 6 properties, 5 of which had lakes, and I actually ended up buying the only place without a lake. I actually bought a pair of holiday cottages adjoining one another, had a swimming pool, and it was what's known as a turnkey operation. Nothing needed to be done to the properties. In fact, when I took the properties on, I even had bookings for that summer. So I'd already started receiving income. With regards to the properties that had lakes, word of warning, what you see on these estate agents' websites isn't exactly what you get. They don't show you the surrounding area. You know, you see this nice photograph of this house in a tranquil part of France, but you don't see the surrounding farm that's encircling that property. And there's cows, muck everywhere, farmers' machinery going up and down all the time. And some of the houses, you know, you see this nice picture, but when you go inside you think, God, how does anyone live in it? Because they were dumps. you know, it looked like someone had just trashed the place and just left everything there. But there was actually families living in it. I couldn't understand how people could live like that. And I took my father along with me on the house hunt. He was a builder by trade, so he was invaluable as regards to his advice. And with all the properties with the lakes, apart from one, there was so much work that was needed to get them up and running as holiday cottages. And my dad said to me, you know, you're going to have to take 2 or 3 years of work, have loads of expense, just to get where you are with actually the property I did decide to buy. And in the end, I bought the place in Brittany with the pool and 2 cottages. The runner-up was a house. It was 2 houses, 12 acres of land and a 4-acre lake in the Limousin region, and it was actually the cheapest property I saw. Any idea of the cost? €210,000, which at the time was about £140,000. That was the cheapest property I looked at. 12 acres, 2 houses that just needed a little bit of tarting up, and a 6-acre lake. The problem I had with it was that I did need to still continue to work in the UK, and the Limousin region had no airport at that time, and it was a long old drive just to get to the Channel and get back into the UK. And then I looked at the owner, who was in his 70s, and he just looked absolutely haggard. And I just thought, is that going to be me very soon? 12 acres of land is a lot of land to look after. That's one of the biggest problems a lot of Brits who come over to live in France have, is that they buy properties that look good, they have a lot of land, and then they find out how much hard work it is to actually look after that land. So, and the other thing with regards to that property in the Limousin region, it was a 15-minute drive from the local town, and there was only one other neighbour nearby. And I just felt, as an Englishman living in France, I was just going to be too isolated. Also, I was single. Where am I going to meet the girls? You know, if you're stuck in the middle of nowhere, you've got no social life. So I needed to find a place that, yes, was in the countryside, but had all the facilities around. And that's why I chose my place in Brittany. Because I'm just, although I'm in the countryside, I'm 5 minutes from a local town. I've got some cities within 25 minutes away from me. So there was just so much more to offer. And the beaches are only sort of half an hour away as well. So I think I've got the good location. I will get my lake at some point, hopefully. But at the moment, I'm happy with my life in France. When it comes to the prices of properties in France, I'll give you an example. This property in the UK, 3-bedroom terraced house in Havering, Hornchurch, £500,000. I couldn't believe it when I did the research this week. £500,000 compared to this one in France. What do you reckon that will cost you? In English money, £300,000. 5-bedroom house with an acre of land. And that's typical of houses in France. Because one of the biggest expenditures in the UK is either your mortgage or your rent payment. In the UK, you know, you can pay, well, in London, up to £2,000 a month just for a 1-bedroom apartment. When my parents are in Essex, they have neighbours that rent their 3-bedroom houses out for £1,800 per month. And on the flip side for mortgages, I was actually a financial advisor in the UK, and in the UK, at one point it was possible to actually get a mortgage 5 times a joint income and up to 105% of the value of the house. Northern Rock at one point, this is why they had the problem, were offering a 90% loan to value, and then they offered a 15% loan to value personal loan given the same mortgage rate as interest rate on the personal loan and over the same term. So basically it was just a way of getting around it and giving 105% loan to value. Fine when the market's going up, but when the market crashed, people started to lose their homes because they couldn't afford the mortgage payments, the houses were in negative equity, and they just decided to walk away and hand the keys in. It was atrocious. In France, on the flip side, it's quite hard to get a mortgage. They will only give you 3 times provable income. So as a self-employed person, I have to show my accounts, and they give me 3 times whatever I showed for those current years. As a self-employed person in the UK, I could have done something called self-certification, which means if I had a £100,000 deposit, I could say I'm earning £100,000 a year, and they would give me a £300,000 mortgage. So I could actually physically go out and get a £400,000 house without actually proving what I earned, as long as I put that 25% deposit down. In France, you can't do that. They're a lot stricter on borrowing, which is a good thing, because one of the things as a financial advisor that I saw in the UK was there's this need to keep up with the Joneses in the UK. There's so much pressure on people to have nice cars, to go on nice holidays, to have all the gimmicky things within their houses. The difference between life in the UK and life in France is in France, no one cares what car you drive, what clothes you wear, where you go on holiday, and the gimmicky things, nobody cares. It may be like that in Paris. That's why a lot of the French outside of Paris don't like the Parisians, because the Parisians do have that culture of keeping up with the Joneses. But on the whole, anywhere outside the major cities, nobody cares a bit, tuppence, as regards to what you have. They just treat you as the individual. And that's another thing I like about France. Guys, if you're thinking of moving to France, another tip with regards to your house hunting. When I came over, it took me a week to see those 6 properties. I think it was about £1,700 for the ferry, the petrol, and the hotel accommodation for me and my father. And I clocked up over 1,500 miles during that week. Can you imagine if I hadn't found the house of my dreams? If I had to do that all over again? So be very careful, make sure you've got loads of properties to view when you do come over, and to reduce the disappointment. Because as I said, there's a lot of properties out there that aren't what they seem. Give you an example. Dad and I went down to, this is the one at Bergerac, so this is the furthest south we went. It was a 4-bedroom house with 1 acre lake. And I actually said to the estate agent, you know, one of my main driving forces is that I'm looking for properties with lakes. Yes, this one's got a lake, so fantastic. So just the way it worked out, we arrived in the area on the Saturday, and we had to spend 2 nights because we weren't able to view it until the Monday. So we had 2 nights accommodation for this property in Bergerac. Bergerac's lovely, by the way, but that's digressing. And when we went to view the property, yes, there was a lake, but it was dried up. There was just literally a puddle of water. You could see where the remnants of the lake were. But the owner turned round to us and said, oh, it's been dry for the last couple of years. We've had very dry years, and there's nothing we can do about it. Can you imagine how frustrating that was for me? You know, we spent 2 nights there, driven that extra mileage, only to find the house had no lake. It just shows you can't trust the estate agents, but that's another story. Don't take me down that route. I hope you've enjoyed this video on some of the reasons why I came to France and the difference between living in the UK versus France. I love it here. The French have been so welcoming. I'll talk about the French more on another video, and I'll see you again next Thursday. Take care everybody, have a good week, and thanks for watching. Oh, by the way, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel, give it a big thumbs up, and hit that red button so you don't miss any other videos. Thanks for watching, see you again soon.